people say they don't understand Trump because he exhibits certain personality traits, character traits, which turn off a lot of people. Now, I'm not going to comment on these traits in terms of, are they good or bad or whatever. But why does God allow Trump? Why did he pick a man that have such character traits as Trump, where people view that as disgraceful, it's not presidential, you see, this is not mature? What's the underlying reason? And I'll tell you something very interesting. Why? Because before God was about to elect, if you want to use that word, Trump, to be the Tov Sheb'Esav, the Satan appears always before the Messianic process and says, wait a minute, you can't do this. The Jews don't deserve to be redeemed for all the reasons that he quotes. So God does a strategy called Sheikhad l'Satan. Sheikhad l'Satan is a bribery to the Satan. And I've mentioned this previously, where God justice demands that Trump should not be president, you see, because that's what the Satan is saying. And God says, no, the time has come, he's going to be president. But God cannot dismiss justice. He created the Satan to uphold justice. So what he does is he says to the Satan, okay, we'll compromise. I'm going to put up a guy that's going to tremendously help Israel. But I want to tell you something. He is going to be very ineffective in many ways. In other words, he'll do the job, but there's going to be a tremendous barrier. What's the barrier? Because people are going to look at his personality and they say, what? We should vote for a guy like this? Or we should help a guy like this, pass laws? So I'm going to put a guy in that will allow people to rebel or to defy Trump. You see, so the Satan says, no problem. If you're going to do that, then I'm okay with it. Why? Because even though he's going to try to help the Jewish people, but because of his personality traits that are viewed by people as either disgraceful or immature or whatever, he's not going to really accomplish anything. So you can do it. You see, that's called Sheikhad l'Satan. You see, that's why we watch something incredible. There's a person who's probably the greatest president in U.S. history. Probably, in terms of what he's done. How he has done what he did is a mystery. Not only has he done unbelievable things for the United States, where he's elevated the United States to be the greatest country the world has ever seen, but he did it under unbelievable amount of persecutions. Incredible. That everybody else would have faltered and collapsed. You see. So what he's done is unbelievable competence. Yet what God has done is allowed him to have this character traits where he is viewed by people as not being a president. And therefore, that would allow people to ignore him, not to work with him, and create a tremendous barrier for him to do anything. And that's Sheikhad l'Satan, which God does many times. One more example, for instance, in 1898, where God said to the Satan, the heavenly tribunal, I must give Israel back to the Jews, because the time has arrived, you see. And the Satan says, what do you mean? You can't give Israel back to the Jews. They don't deserve it. So God says, okay, I'm going to make a deal. It's called Sheikhad l'Satan. He's going to bribe the Satan. I will give Israel back to the Jews. However, the ones who will be in charge of Israel would be the Erev Rav, Herzl, who is an atheist. He will actually bring Israel to the Jews, one, and his people, the secular Zionists, they will dominate the Jewish people. So the Satan says to himself, wow, what an opportunity, because maybe I can get these guys to destroy the religion of the Jewish people by having the secular Zionists destroy them. You see, that's another classic case of Sheikhad l'Satan, bribery to the Satan. So it's where God does what he wants, yet in some way he allows himself to compromise in order to placate the attribute of justice. And that's what we are seeing, I believe, in terms of the character of Donald Trump. And therefore the Satan said, okay, put in the Tov Sheb'Esav, the good part of Esav. I'm okay with that because he's not going to get anything done anyway. Meanwhile, of course, we know that the Satan had no idea of the incredible strength of this man, personal strength of this man, to accomplish more than almost any president in U.S. history. Anyway, that's something to think about.